peed it up again and went for a touchdown. I was at the game by myself, sitting up there, and I didn't know what to do. I sat there for about 30 minutes after the game, and finally got enough guts to crank my car and head home. And I said, well, I'm gonna go see Buck Corley and cry on his footsteps.
It was a shocking game.
He was a banker in Birmingham at the time, and I went by and opened the door, and they were eating supper. I said, Ned, Santa Claus is just, Jesus Christ was on Auburn's bench today.
Auburn only had 1 or 2 first downs the whole game. I mean, in fact, Alabama had fumbled. They were ahead 16-0. They had fumbled on their own 20-yard line, and Auburn got it, couldn't move it. Gardner Jett kicked the field goal. That made it 16-3, and the Auburn fans were booing because they did not go for the first down, thinking, well, the game's over.
And this will make Pike County fans happy when I say that Randy Walls from Pike County High School of Brundage was the quarterback for Auburn that day.
And he didn't do anything. I mean,
they didn't have to. That's right.
They just these 2 block punts. And,
final score was 17-16. Alabama's extra point kicker missed an extra point that day. The first in something like 75, something like that. He had kicked that many before, and this one he missed and gave Auburn a chance to win, and they did win. But that was a long time ago, and we're talking about now. What's the talk in the Dothan and Ozark about who is going to be Auburn's next coach, Will, and what happened? Why in the world did Auburn fire the coach and now give him $22 million to leave?
Well, they had to give it to him. I mean, that was his contract. They wanted to fire him, and I think most of the Auburn people are happy he's gone because he has not done anything really. Had that one good year, and they gave him, that 7-year extension or whatever it was.
Somebody told me that the money, everybody says that this guy's going to get $22 million, but they say it comes from the hopper, or whatever you call the university's money. Which they have millions, evidently.
And I think the boosters fund or whatever.
Do you think it's a booster deal, or do you think the university is?
The university's not paying a penny of that money.
You don't think so?
No.
I mean, if your email's on comments, he's the happiest guy ever to just been fired.
Yeah, I would too. I would be too.
He talks about how much he appreciates Auburn giving him the opportunity, and how much he loves Auburn, and 2 daughters graduated from Auburn. How much the president, athletic director, everybody. I mean, like he didn't talk bad about anybody.
Yeah, well, he shouldn't. He should have a huge smile on his face that the buyout of his contract was $22 million, and now he can say, look, honey, instead of going to Hawaii and buying a house, why don't we just buy a couple of houses, one at the Highlands in North Carolina and the other one out in Colorado, and if you want a place down in South Florida, we'll buy another place down there.
Well, one way you know that the guy's not that great a coach is anybody trying to hire him? No.
No, but the problem is, though,
he's out of coaching. He will not get a job.
That's right. But if he gets a job,
he definitely get a job. Well, his overall record's really good.
He can't get. Listen, he can't get a job. Not a Power 5 job. I don't think.
Maybe not a Power 5 job. But
I think he could definitely go back to the Sun Belt or Conference USA.
Oh yeah, he could do that, but he won't do that.
Yeah,
well, the deal is, I mean, if he goes back,
they're saying right now, Liberty. If Hugh Freeze leaves Liberty and gets a big-time job somewhere, that Briles has resigned from his high school job in Texas, Art Briles, and apparently the NCAA has now said he's eligible to come back into coaching.
He's a good coach.
He would get the Liberty job because the former athletic director, when all that stuff happened at Baylor, is now at Liberty.
Yeah, Big Baptist. Both of them are Big Baptist schools.
Oh yeah.
I remember when Briles was coaching that high school team in Texas. I remember when he doing that. But he's a real good coach.
He's a good coach.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Tennessee. Say Tennessee gets blown out this weekend at home against A&M. Would Phil Fulmer feel like he would have to make that move, or you think he'll keep Pruitt another year?
Michael, they're paying him almost $7 million a year, which that just shocks the crap out of me.
Yeah, well, excuse this guy's language.
Jeremy Pruitt, $6 million plus a year.
got a contract extension, I know.
Ah,
One of those 8 straight games.
yeah, I think he's safe at that kind of money.
Well, who else is out there? Who else is out there? To me, the only justification they can get for paying $22 million to a fired coach is to hire our guy who we call the
Kiffin?
the guru, the guru of all of them out there right now. And of course,
You talking about Sarkisian?
no,
Kiffin?
no, I'm talking
I
about
have heard
who would you think?
Urban Meyer.
Urban Meyer. When you say
He
Urban
wouldn't
Meyer
go to
was the
Auburn.
guy,
He wouldn't go to Auburn under any circumstance.
even if they gave him $15 million a year.
He wouldn't go to Auburn.
Well, he's the only one that's probably worth it.
Let's go to the West.
He wants to go to USC or Texas, and right now both
Yeah.
of those coaches are fairly safe.
But right now, I would think he's the top coach out there. That if you went after somebody, and then of course the coach at Penn State. But somebody told me his buyout was $38 million. Is that true?
I don't know, but yeah, I think he could probably, if he wanted to, he could come to Auburn if Auburn wanted him.
But that's a huge buyout.
Yeah,
Mike Amos calling in from Grayton Beach, Florida today. A rainy Grayton Beach, Mike.
Yeah, I was shocked with the college football playoff rankings last night. You know, Florida only dropped to number 7.
That's insane.
Iowa State's going to get beat by Oklahoma this weekend. You know, there's definitely going to be a loser between Clemson and Notre Dame. You know, next week or whenever I guess Sunday comes around, they do the playoff rankings. So there's an outside chance Florida could be number 5, maybe. If they won the SEC championship, get into the top 4.
They could, if they beat Alabama, they could get into the playoff.
And what was so tough, Oklahoma's probably playing as good as anybody.
The overall, the win though head to head, when they faced each other, so maybe A&M would go in instead. But I can't believe I thought they'd be out of the top 10, losing to LSU at home.
I think A&M's going to clean Tennessee because they're going to try to run up the score for their playoff hopes.
Well, I tell you what, somebody needs to beat Texas A&M.
Tennessee can't beat Texas A&M.
The key is what is everybody going to do with to do with not A&M, but what are they going to do with Ohio State?
Ohio State's in.
But with just 3 wins, 6 wins.
Playing 6 games, man. There's going to have to be a lot of people on that committee to look at the fact that these other teams play 10, 11 games.
Well, Ohio State, if you look at, I saw something that if they played each one of the teams, the spread from Las Vegas, Alabama would only be a 3.5 or 4 point favorite over Ohio State. And Ohio State would be favored over Clemson, they'd be favored over Notre Dame, and they'd be favored over Texas A&M. So I think clearly they're the second best team, but they've only played 5 games.
All right.
The highest they'll rank them though in the playoffs is going to be 4. So Alabama probably, considering I think they're going to beat Florida, will have to open with Ohio State. That's not going to be easy.
I don't think so. I think if Clemson beats if Notre Dame beats Clemson, Clemson will drop down to number 4. Or number 5, and then Ohio State would go up to number 3.
I don't think if Clemson.
You think Notre Dame with their first loss, they would still make the playoffs?
Yes, I
would
think they're
so.
going to be there either way.
But Clemson with their
I don't think they deserve it. I don't think they deserve it. I mean, they beat Clemson in double overtime with Clemson's backup quarterback. Clemson goes out there and blows Notre Dame out. I think they're out of the playoff picture.
I don't think they will.
Michael, I looked at that game, and Clemson's backup quarterback, he's got some crazy name, Ula Mula Bula or something. Anyway, he threw for 400. He threw for 460 yards in that game. So, how much better
with hardly any preparation.
with that? Yeah, with no prep.
Yeah.
Just got thrown into the game.
Yeah.
And how many more yards would Nature Boy have, or whatever they call him?
All right. Well, this way I look at it.
They say as soon as the championship's over this year that Head and Shoulders, Dub,
Oh gosh.
are going to be there to sign.
With that Cocker Spaniel look of his.
He's going. There's no telling what kind of money he's going to get.
Well,
But the bad thing is he's got to go to the Jets, and
He don't want to go to the
he don't want to go to the Jets. Now I think he might do what Eli Manning did. You know, Eli got drafted by San Diego Chargers, and he said, "I'm not going to San Diego. I'll go to New York." They had the number 2 pick, and New York and San Diego ended up swapping picks, and San Diego got Phillip Rivers, which was a good pick.
Let's call it exactly the way it's going to be. Clemson, if they beat Notre Dame, they're in, of course.
Yeah,
but if they lose, they're out.
I don't think so.
Yeah, with two losses, they're
Not
out.
necessarily.
Yeah, they've got to be. But Notre Dame's going to go in because they're just once beaten. Then Alabama would, whether they lose to Florida or not,
They're
they would be
in
once beaten. And then Ohio State, who all they had to do is beat. Well, I don't think it's much
Northwestern,
of a chance.
they're 21 or 2 point favorites on
So
Northwestern.
look at Clemson, Notre Dame, Alabama, and Ohio State. That's your top 4 teams right there.
If
Well,
Clemson wins.
If
the
Clemson
teams out
wins.
of the top 4, you got Texas A&M at 5, Iowa State at 6. Of course, Iowa State lost to Louisiana Lafayette.
They play Oklahoma.
Florida at 7, Georgia at 8. Cincinnati has now fallen to 9. They're undefeated 8-0.
Bless their hearts, and they're a good football team.
They could be 20-0 and couldn't be in there.
Oklahoma's 7-2. They're ranked 10th. Indiana's ranked 11th. Hosted Carolina, who Troy should have beat, is now 12th. USC, who's undefeated, they get no respect. They're 13th. Northwestern's 14th. UNC's 15th. Iowa's turned their season around. They're 16th.
They sure are.
BYU's 10-1. They're 17th. Miami is falling all the way to 18th. They're 8-2. Louisiana Lafayette out of the Sun Belt is 9-1. They're 19th. Texas is 20th. Oklahoma State 21st. North Carolina State 22nd. Tulsa 23. San Jose State 24.
Best year ever.
25.
Yeah, that sounds good. Now let me just give you a little rundown of who we got this weekend, and it's going to be a great weekend of college football, no question about it. On Friday, there are 3 games on Friday. UAB, who had not played a game in 40 days, went to Rice and beat them this weekend, so they're playing for their championship of their conference, the USA Conference. So congratulations to him. And let me ask you this: where is their guy, Mike? Where's Clark in this Auburn thing? He's a pretty good coach and got a great staff.
He's not going to Auburn.
He would be a guy that if they can't get, 2 or 3 of the guys they're really wanting to try to bring in as the head coach, he wouldn't be the worst.
Yeah,
Is that Max Howell?
This is Max Howell calling in. All right, we've got Max calling in a second. We'll go ahead and bring him in. Max, good morning. How you doing?
Mike, it's Max. How you this morning?
Max Howell calling in from someplace in the northern Mississippi that a lot of folks are talking about right now.
Yeah, we're up here just outside Tupelo in Fulton, just down the road to Fulton, out on the river. Kind of rainy up here this morning, about 35 degrees.
I believe it's raining everywhere. It's raining here.
It's
raining
flooding here in Troy.
Fulton, Mississippi, and it's also raining in northwest Florida. So it's raining most everywhere.
Well, I tell you what, right behind this, we're getting a little snow flurry over the west side of the state.
I would not doubt it. I would not doubt it. Now, right now, Mike, are you in? Are you on the air?
No, sir, he's blinking.
Mike,
He's blinking.
All right. Let me bring him in real quick here, and we'll.
You got to learn how to get 3 people on here.
All right, we got everybody on now. That was quick. Mike Amos from
Max, I'm sitting here in Troy this morning.
Will Matthews is on our line this morning. Max from Dothan. He originates
I've got a
out of
trial
Dothan.
up here this morning, and then I'm doing city court, helping Matt Baker out this afternoon.
I'm so glad you are, 'cause I want to talk to you about the Auburn situation.
Oh,
There you go.
I've got
We're
several Auburn friends, and Oh, they're ecstatic about getting rid of Gus.
Right now, we've got yours truly, Mike Amos. You got yours. You got Mike Amos calling in from Northwest Florida. You got Max Howell calling in from Fulton, Mississippi, and Will Matthews calling in from right here in our studios.
Yeah, I'm
and
sitting here.
also here is Forrest Lee. So we got a full range of opinions, and that's exactly what we have. Max, tell us your opinion right now of what happened at Auburn.
Well, I think it's just a multitude of things, Mike. I think that what culminated Auburn just came out and said a 6-4 season was acceptable, and that's not even debatable in my opinion. I looked at their recruiting class, and the highest I've seen them rank this year is like 37 in the nation. The rest of it's in the 50s. Guys, that's not even going to get you a 5-5 record or 6-6, whatever, if you play until the 12 games. So I think it was a culmination of things. And I think if you really watch this program, he's had some big wins, and I think, and I don't speak for the Auburn fan base, but, losing to Alabama, he's beaten Alabama a few times, but the times he's beat him, he come right back and lose to a school like Southern Miss or so. But inconsistency, I think, is exactly what got him. And I think, the fan base, they were tired of it. They were ready to make a move, and they have. I'm not critical of the process they're using for a new coach selection, but, Kevin Steele doesn't do anything for anybody. He's a great coordinator. I think he's done a really good job there, but, guys, he's been fired a couple of times.
Well, his record at Baylor.
Hey, Max, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Kevin Steele went 0-12 at Southern Miss.
You're absolutely right.
It was the worst. He did the.
He was at Baylor. That's another form of.
He was at Baylor, and he was at. Hey, but let me tell you something else, Michael. He was at Clemson too. The Devil fired him in the middle of the season.
Hey, Max, I don't know if you remember this or not. Clemson was playing somebody and got beat 70-7 or something like that.
West Virginia put 70 on Steele.
Yeah, 70 points in the Orange Bowl.
That's right.
That was.
Like I say, I'm not. Hey, that's their program. They got to do what they want to. But I'm just telling you, Kevin Steele, from head coach's position, is not a step up from Gus Malzahn.
No.
Mark that down. It ain't going to happen. So I say that clears the air for now who they go after. I've thrown out Steve Sarkisian and the underlying rumor's been Lane Kiffin. And, we've heard a lot of names out there. I don't think Cristobal is coming from Oregon.
In fact, Cristobal, hey Max, Cristobal's doing a Wimp Sanderson right now on Auburn. Do you know what the Wimp Sanderson strategy is? Don't you? He developed this strategy.
Use that job to get you a bigger raise.
Well, Kentucky had Eddie Sutton, and that was when they were trying to recruit the Mills guy from Arizona, Chris Mills, and the UPS box opened up with $30,000 in cash in it, so they had to get rid of Sutton. Well, they called Wimp, and this was back before agents or anything else. And they said, Wimp, we want you to come to Kentucky. And he said, all right, I'll tell you what I'll do. You give me Sutton's contract, and I'll come. And they faxed him a copy of Sutton's contract. And back then, he was probably making $1 million a year, which was unheard of in basketball coaches. And he took that to the president of Alabama, and they gave him a huge raise, and he stayed at Alabama and just,
Let me just tell you something, Max. Lane Kiffin will be Auburn's next coach. Lane Kiffin, put it in the bank.
I'm going to tell you something. If Lane Kiffin came to Auburn and he kept Kevin Steele, because I think Kevin Steele's a good defensive coordinator, Lane Kiffin can't spell defense.
But Kiffin wants to come to Auburn.
Oh, he would be there.
He's already been out there.
Oh, he would be there.
Hey, listen, you'd have a yuppie coach, and let me tell you, he's a pretty good coach too.
He'd be tough on Saban, I'll tell you. He was tough on Saban this year.
All right,
with nothing.
What do you think, Max? Max, he'd leave Ole Miss in a second to go to Auburn, wouldn't he?
Well, listen, guys, Auburn needs a splash. If they intend, to do something to change the environment, the culture, they can't hire just a
That's right.
Make a splash.
They want somebody that's pretty. They want somebody that's pretty.
Well, they got somebody that can get the job done, Mike. And it ain't all about just beating Alabama. It's consistency, winning championships, and that kind of thing. And Auburn didn't have that, you know. And another one, you know, I read the other day where, well, they want somebody with Pat Dye's personality. Well, I think they're going to have somebody old school, mentally, and really go in there and clean the program up.
That's what Clark at UAB would do. He would give you a Pat Dye type player, a coach.
He's not ready for that job, Mike.
You don't think so?
Bill's done a good job. It's going to take somebody that's been at that level as a head guy and willing to risk the politics behind it and get in there and clean the program up. I'm going to tell you right now.
Lane's 45 years old, so he's still fairly young.
Yeah. But, of course, you've got our vacuum cleaner salesman. You know, he would be the #1 pick, don't you think?
Is the Southern Cal coach got Auburn ties? Does he have ties, the Southern Cal coach?
Yeah, he does, but that's the Love Doctor's son.
Okay.
Well, what would you do, Max? Who would you go get?
Well, I kind of like the guy in Indiana. I mean, you know, he was on Hugh Freeze's staff at Ole Miss at one time, so he's kind of familiar with this kind of this. I think you need to go out and find somebody that's been there, done that, and can turn it around in a heartbeat. Yeah. And I do believe Auburn's ready to turn the reins over to somebody like that.
And if you think about it, very few people other than Saban can say I've won all these national championships. Other guys can't say it, except maybe Clemson. Clemson can say it. He's not going anywhere. Ohio State can pretty much say it. But other than that, in Alabama, who else has won any national championships lately?
Max, it's my understanding, somebody told me this, Ole Miss is going to have a hell of a day today recruiting.
Oh, they got. Listen, I just went through their recruiting list this morning.
Yeah.
You're right. They got 20 commitments, and how about this? Even 10 and 10 on each side of the ball.
Right.
10 defense and 10 offense.
Right.
See, that's balance right there. That's what you have to have.
Yeah.
Well, he's got that. He's got the charisma. You know.
If Auburn hired him today, what would happen to those commitments? If they hadn't signed their paperwork yet, they're gonna say, "Oh, I better."
I think that's why I think part of whoever is out there is waiting today, so it doesn't disrupt.
Yeah.
Basically disrupt the program, you know, the recruiting cycle.
Right.
So, but you know what? On the Auburn side, it don't matter. I mean,
Auburn is getting nobody.
Those guys anyway.
Yeah, Auburn is getting nobody today.
Kippen has been the head coach at Southern Cal. Isn't that right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Tennessee.
Oakland Raiders.
Florida Atlantic.
Florida Atlantic. And in fact, Florida Atlantic's going to Montgomery to play Memphis.
He was there 3 years and he won 2 conference titles.
Yeah, that's
conference
right.
USA
he did
titles.
a great job down there. Let me tell you this: if Auburn wants a wants a young man that is going to give you a pretty good name and a pretty good record, and then the kind of this guy thinks he's the best in the world, and that's the kind of guy you want. Lane Kiffin would be their job. Would be the one to get.
He put up a lot of points on Alabama this year.
Yeah, I think the only thing you guys just hit on it is, you know, he's jumped several times when he was a lot younger. I do think he's mature enough, but I can tell you this, guys, he ain't going to be at Ole Miss 3 years from now.
No.
He'll be going somewhere.
Oh, yeah, he will.
Can't keep him.
And we're talking about $8 or $9 million a year at Auburn, wouldn't you think?
He was at Tennessee.
I think at least 7.
Yeah. Well, he would be probably the 5th highest paid coach in America, probably, if he went to Auburn.
Yeah, I think Auburn's ready to do that.
That's Mike trying to get back on.
What they had to do to get rid of Gus,
All right.
they were willing to, you know, pony that up and go.
Yeah. Let me bring Mike back in here 1 second. Uh-oh. I blew it. Okay, Max, we still got you, don't we?
Yeah, I'm here, sure.
Okay, we'll get Mike when he calls back in. Ladies and gentlemen, this show is brought to you by Premier Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram trucks. Ladies and gentlemen, on the bypass right here in Troy. You can't beat a Premier deal. Nobody can beat a Premier deal right here in Troy. Mike Amos calling in from Great Beach. Let's see if we can bring him in here. Well, I don't know. Maybe we've got Max Howell calling in from Fulton, Mississippi, one of the leading analysts in the country. I reckon everybody wants you to come up with some kind of Final Four too.
Lane's making $4 million at Ole Miss,
Right.
which that's pretty good. There he's calling
All
by.
right, let's put him on hold.
Well, I
All right, here. All right, we got you again.
Cut Mike off.
He'll call back in a minute. But right now, the Auburn situation has got everybody on hold. What do you think these, like you said, what do you think these recruits will do at Ole Miss? And
well, everybody's holding their breath right now.
Ole Miss better go ahead and get these guys to sign down right now, don't you think?
They'll be signing in.
The sophistication of the technology today, every knows what the roster is, and you don't hide behind the elbow.
Okay.
You're cutting in and out on us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Mr. Mack.
you're cutting in and out on us, and
I'm done getting feet on the river.
yeah, and boy, it's raining cats and dogs. Y'all gonna have any flooding or anything like that? Right now, we're not getting very good reception with Max, and in fact, we have lost him. No, we've got him still. We're waiting on Mike Amos to come back in. But the big topic, ladies and gentlemen, is the Final Four, how it looks this weekend. We've got UAB at Marshall. We've got Ball State at Buffalo tonight. You got Oregon now playing USC. Max, have you ever seen anything like that in your life?
No, guys, the whole year's been that way, though. That was the thing I was getting back to just a moment ago about with recruiting. It's been so. I don't think this class has been hurt so much, but the coaches are out there looking at sophomores and juniors right now. They're not able to go anywhere.
Yeah.
So I think down the road,
Merry Christmas from Stephen Sanders Truck.
But I think all
Merry Christmas from Wiley Sanders Truck Line. Are you ready for these
Yes,
songs?
sir. Bring the toys to me. Merry
Let's have
Christmas.
fun. Merry Christmas. Let's have fun. Hurry, boys and girls. Hurry. It's what time of the year?
Christmas
And what do we say?
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you from Wiley Sanders Truck Line and Stephen Sanders Trucking.
Let's make this the biggest toy drive ever. Townsend's, Troy Cable, Trojan Detail, those are your drop-off points.
Our history is woven with the stories of those we serve. At Max, we've been a good community partner for 65 years. Max is dedicated to providing dependable financial services and to supporting our communities. We volunteer our time and share our resources. As a credit union, we've returned millions of dollars back to our members, local nonprofits, and small businesses. Max is honored to be a part of your story. We look forward to serving you for years to come.
Trojan Auto Parts of Troy, home of Napa Know-How. Stop by and see owners Mike and Melissa Kilcrease and their Napa Know-How team with over 100 years of combined experience. We're the only locally owned parts store in Pike County, and we're fully stocked and ready to serve you. We pride ourselves on being your go-to parts store, not only for the simple items, but we specialize in those hard-to-find items as well. Trojan Auto Parts, the right part at the right price at the right time. Napa, a name you've trusted here in Troy since 1945.
At the Piggly Wiggly, we proudly support our local farmers and bring you the best they have to offer, all at cost plus 10%. When you shop local, you reinvest in your community. Remember, buy local, shop local. Piggly Wiggly, local since forever.
Merry Christmas from Stephen Sanders Trucking. Merry Christmas from Wiley Sanders Truck Line. Are you ready for these
Yes,
songs?
sir. Bring the toys to me. Merry
Let's have
Christmas.
fun. Merry Christmas. Let's have fun. Hurry, boys and girls. Hurry. It's what time of the year?
Christmas.
And what do we say?
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you from Wiley Sanders Truck Line and Stephen Sanders Trucking.
Let's make this the biggest toy drive ever. Townsend's, Troy Cable, Trojan Detail, those are your drop-off points.
Our history is woven with the stories of those we serve. At Max, we've been a good community partner for 65 years. Max is dedicated to providing dependable financial services and to supporting our communities. We volunteer our time and share our resources. As a credit union, we've returned millions of dollars back to our members, local nonprofits, and small businesses. Max is honored to be a part of your story. We look forward to serving you for years to come.
Trojan Auto Parts of Troy, home of Napa Know-How. Stop by and see owners Mike and Melissa Kilcrease and their Napa Know-How team with over 100 years of combined experience. We're the only locally owned parts store in Pike County, and we're fully stocked and ready to serve you. We pride ourselves on being your go-to parts store, not only for the simple items, but we specialize in those hard-to-find items as well. Trojan Auto Parts, the right part at the right price at the right time. Napa, a name you've trusted here in Troy since 1945.
At the Piggly Wiggly, we proudly support our local farmers and bring you the best they have to offer, all at cost plus 10%. When you shop local, you reinvest in your community. Remember, buy local, shop local. Piggly Wiggly, local since forever.
Merry Christmas from Stephen Sanders Trucking. Merry Christmas from Wiley Sanders Truck Line. Are you ready for these
Yes,
toys?
sir. Bring the toys to me.
Let's have fun. Merry Christmas. Let's have fun. Hurry, boys and girls. Hurry. It's what time of the year?
Christmas
And what do we say?
Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas to you from Wiley Sanders Truck Line and Stephen Sanders Trucking.
Let's make this the biggest toy drive ever. Townsend's, Troy Cable, Trojan Detail, those are your drop-off points.
Our history is woven with the stories of those we serve. At Max, we've been a good community partner for 65 years. Max is dedicated to providing dependable financial services and to supporting our communities. We volunteer our time and share our resources. As a credit union, we've returned millions of dollars back to our members, local nonprofits, and small businesses. Max is honored to be a part of your story. We look forward to serving you for years to come.
Back to our show, ladies and gentlemen, brought to you by Premier Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram Trucks on the bypass. We got Max Howell calling in from Fulton, Mississippi. We got Mike Amos calling in from Grayton Beach, Florida. We got Will Matthews running the show now, ladies and gentlemen. The attorney at law came in here and just took over.
Yes.
And telling me what to do now.
We got it to work.
And of course, yours truly, Mike Amos. Forrest Lee had to leave early. But, of course, he's our good friend. He'll be on our show tomorrow. Mind you that tomorrow we got Whaley Pecans on our show. It's always fun to bring in Bob Whaley from Whaley Pecans, and boy, the best Christmas store in the world is their Christmas store at Whaley Pecans, and he'll be here tomorrow. And then on Friday we've got our Picket Show brought to you by Premier Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram Trucks on the bypass. Okay, we got everybody back, and let me just say this, and I'll shut up.
We got recruiting news, breaking recruiting news at Troy. Do you want me to give you some signees?
Yeah, well, go ahead right now then.
You got a safety from Stark, Florida, named Sterling Roberts, 6'1", 205. You got a wide receiver named Deshaun Scottemeyer out of Stone Mountain, Georgia, 6'1", 175. A quarterback out of Bainbridge, Georgia, named Quade Hawkins.
Good name.
180, and then a defensive tackle out of Pinson. We'll get everybody we can get out of Pinson. 6'3", 295-pound tackle named Julian Peterson.
Okay. Well, you know what? When you sign a couple of guys like from Pinson or from what's the other great program up there right next to your church?
Next to my church is Ramsey.
Yeah, you get them out of Ramsey and you get them out of Pinson Valley, you get them in your program, and these guys, when they start looking at program, say, "That's my buddy. He's playing at Troy. I'll call him and see how he likes it." And for long, you got a great player that's wanting to come to your place. Max Howell is with us today, Mike. You're a good friend, and not only are we going to find out who he likes as the new Auburn coach, I say this, and it's the truth if I've ever said the truth. There are two real good prospects out there. One you don't even know if you can get. The other one is begging to come. One of them is Lane Kiffin. The other one is Urban Meyer. And anybody else, you're going down instead of up. Lane Kiffin and Urban Meyer are if you could get one of those guys, you'll be in business and you can compete against Alabama.
Mike, Urban Meyer will never go to Auburn.
Why? He'll never go to Auburn.
Never.
Why? Auburn's got money.
Well, that ain't all he's about.
Urban Meyer's got more money than he can spend.
And never will spend it all. It's not. He's there, guys. Look, he's going to be talking to Southern Cal. Of course, he was involved in the Texas job, so they decided to keep Pee Wee Herman. And
Pee Wee Herman.
Yeah.
The next step is that Ohio State, where he was already. That's the level he's. The Auburn situation doesn't even interest him. Trust me.
Okay. Well, it does. What is your opinion of Lane Kiffin? Now you're sitting right there on top of him.
I think he's cleaned his image up. He put together a good staff. Remember, he only signed 11 kids when he first got here last year because he didn't have a full staff.
Yeah.
And he took what was already there. He coached them up. I'm surprised at all if he doesn't beat LSU this weekend. And that'll be a huge mark for him.
That would. And another thing, too, Max, his quarterback's one of the best in the SEC. He could just say, come go with me to Auburn. I mean, this recruiting has just gone haywire now. He could tell his player, the great quarterback that's at Ole Miss now, to go to Auburn with him. Isn't that right?
Well, and then I think they're going to lose Brownlee also, Pumphrey, the number 2 guy that started last year. He's going to Southern Miss.
Yeah, all right. Isn't that amazing? How in the world, Troy's got a linebacker that had 22 tackles the other day, and I'm worried about losing him because he'd have 2 more years of eligibility.
Let me tell you what you got to do to keep him, Mike. You got to win. You got to win. You can't be 5-6 and 4-4. You got to win. Those kids are all about winning because they know nobody's going to pay attention to them.
All right, y'all heard my two. You heard my two.
Chip Lindsey is on the hot seat, to say the least. I mean, you 5-7 your first year, 5-6 your second year. You're coming off taking over a program that had won 10 games, 11 games, and 10 games. Now, how do you fall off that much?
Talking about a Troy team before Chip Lindsey. Well, all right. Now, Mike.
I got some information. Troy got the Webb kid, LaDamian Webb, out of Beauregard. He rushed for about 400 yards.
Do you remember him, Max? He was the best back in the country at one time. Kid out of Beauregard, Alabama, went to Mississippi State.
He was Alabama Player of the Year.
Yeah. Max, he now is coming to Troy. Can you believe that?
Where did he sign? Who did he go with first?
Florida State.
No, he signed originally with Mississippi State.
He went to Mississippi State, didn't make his grade. Went to junior college in Mississippi, then went to Florida State, and now he's transferred to Troy. Troy also got a commitment from a sophomore, redshirt sophomore named Jamarcus Chapman that played at Florida State. He now is at Troy as well as far as this new signing.
Oh, God.
He's a big defensive tackle out of Rome, Georgia. He was originally a 4-star there.
We'll take him. We'll take all those big defensive linemen if they'll give us to us.
That's two Florida State transfers. So I don't know if Florida State's been down. I don't know if these guys are as good as they originally. Florida State usually has.
But Max, the coach at Florida State said, I need a quarterback, so he called a guy in Central Florida, and he's going to be the quarterback next year. The great quarterback that coach that led Central Florida to undefeated season a couple of years ago.
Well, guys, I think the downfall at Florida State was what the president, what Norvell and that staff. It was a staff prior to this. They were their heads, and they just, that was a political hire. You guys know all the bottom line to that. And the program failed. It takes you can fall way quicker than you can rebuild. Yeah. I can tell you.
All right, I'm going to ask you. I'm going to ask Will who he thinks Auburn needs to get, and then I want to ask Michael, and then I'm coming back to you, and you tell us who you think they ought to try to hire. Will, who do you think Auburn needs to get?
I think they need to get James Franklin. That's who I think, but what I think doesn't mean.
His name is high on the list. I know.
But anybody that can win 9 games at Vandy 3 years in a row, and then go to Penn State, and they were undefeated one year.
He's a great coach.
And he's had good success at Penn State, and not this year. He lost 2 or 3 early. They've come on now. They've won several in a row now.
But now, correct me if I'm wrong, Mike. His buyout is $38 million.
I don't think it's that high, but I'd have to go look.
I've heard that figure there. Has anybody heard that figure, $38 million buyout on James Franklin?
Well, how much is it for him to leave? That's the question, not paying him.
Yeah, that would probably be it. You're right.
Yeah.
What he would take, yeah.
The quarterback, I was going to let you know, we mentioned Trojan just got a quarterback in from Missouri. He's going to be a redshirt junior. He's going to have 2 years left to play. His name's Taylor Powell. He's originally from Fayetteville, Arkansas. He was a 3-star prospect coming out of Arkansas, the 6th best player in the state. He completed about 400 yards in passing during his Missouri career. So that's going to be your transfer quarterback that probably will have a chance to win the job at Troy.
Okay. All right, Mike, who do you like as Auburn's new coach?
I like a guy named Neil Brown to lead West Virginia.
Oh, God. Well, you know
he's not even on the list.
That's why I like him, because he's not on the list. Auburn's gone out and hired a search committee, and you're not going to waste money on a search committee to find a head coach and go hire Kevin Steele. So Kevin Steele's out of it.
Yeah, I hope so.
As soon as I saw they had a search committee, I don't think there's any way he's going to be the head coach.
I think they're using that as a front, if you'll know the truth.
And I think Will might be right. I'm sure the Penn State coach is definitely in the running.
I just knowing James, and I have not talked to him in probably a year and a half, but he would love to get down here. He's got a house in Destin. He'd love to get back down in the South,
All right, Mike, who do you like?
I said Neil Brown.
Oh, Neil Brown. All right, Max, who do you like at Auburn?
I think the Kiffin thing is the most viable as far as the public image right now is concerned. I think, but the downside of that is he's only been at Ole Miss 1 year. I don't know why he wants to, continue on with that jump attitude that he's being tagged on. But he's done a good job. I mean, it all started after he got to Alabama and stayed 3 years as the offensive coordinator. Then he went to Florida. There. I think I think if it was 2 or 3 years into his contract, I think he'd be Auburn. I don't know. I think that's what's holding him. It may be holding Auburn as well for good. But I do right now personally think that Kevin Steele is the front to keep all the other names that they're working on. And I really believe they've already offered it to 1 or 2 people. They're trying to figure out an exit strategy of wherever they are.
Do you know who those guys might be?
I wish I did, Mike.
You'd be driving a Mercedes instead of a Volkswagen.
Franklin's buyout is $32 million.
$32 million.
Is that to hire him though, or that's for him if he gets fired?
No, that's for him. If somebody comes and hires him, they're going to owe.
Oh gosh! And then listen, ladies and gentlemen, if you added 32 to 22, Auburn would. And then they still got to pay Chiswick. I hate to be so rude about
Auburn
this.
would never pay
$64 million.
Well, they would subtract Auburn's contract from that number.
Oh yeah, exactly. But again, Will's right. Hey,
they're not going to pay for him to come.
But I would think he would want to come. I would like Will said. I think this is he'd rather be in the SEC.
Penn State job is a good job. He's got a good job.
Oh yeah. And
they've got one thing that Auburn does not have. They have a 100,000 seat stadium.
Yeah. And it's considered the toughest place to win in college football.
Think about this. Auburn's got 85,000 seat stadium.
Yeah.
Maybe 82, 83, 84. Texas A&M's over 100. LSU's over 100. Alabama's over 100. That's three they're competing against. Every year.
Now, let me ask you one other thing quick, guys. If Texas A&M goes into Knoxville Beach Pruitt, do they fire him Saturday?
No.
All right, but you're right. And believe it or not, I had an upset special with Tennessee to beat Texas A&M. I'm probably going to be wrong, but
what about a name like this? Like sometimes college coaches go to the pro ranks and realize they made a huge mistake and don't like it. What about they went to the Carolina Panthers and got Matt Rule to come to Auburn?
He just got $80 million to go to Carroll. $80 million.
I know, but I'm just saying.
Oh man.
Saban didn't like pro football. I mean, Matt Rule did a great job at Baylor.
And Matt Rule's got a good team now. He's got, they playing some good ball.
How about our guy, the offensive coordinator at Alabama? Does anybody give him a chance?
Steve Sarkisian.
I don't think he wants to go to the West.
Yeah, his name is out there. Whether he wants to make a move or not, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think he's happy where he's at.
Yeah. Well, he's doing a heck of a job.
Yeah. Y'all, the more we talk, the more I see the initials LK. The more we talk, I see the initials LK, Lane Kiffin, to go to Auburn.
Well, that's going to be interesting.
But now, all right, now tell us. We had a list of the.
Right now, A&M's a 14-point favorite at Tennessee.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm sure they'll probably win.
Alabama's a 17-point favorite against Florida.
I look for that and go 20 by Saturday.
All right, on Saturday we got the Big Ten championship with Northwestern playing Ohio State. What's the line on that? Probably 10?
20.
20?
It's 21.
21 Ohio State. So if they win that game, they're a more legitimate top four team. Oklahoma, maybe as good as anybody out there right now, lost 2 games early, and they play Iowa State.
They're 5.5 point
the Big 12 championship. The only one that can really move up from this, I believe, would be Iowa State if they beat Oklahoma.
They're ranked ahead of Oklahoma a pretty good bit.
And in the Sun Belt, the championship game is at Coastal Carolina. Louisiana had the week off. I think that's going to be huge for Louisiana because Coastal had a tremendous game against Troy. And,
they're a 3.5 point favorite, Coastal is.
And I want to say the last game Louisiana played in, they scored 70 points, Mike. Is that right?
No, the last game they almost gave the game away to Appalachian State on a horrible coaching decision. He decided to take a safety with 1:20 left and gave Appalachian State the ball at the 45-yard line with a chance to either win the game or of course, they missed a chip shot 30-yard field goal that would have sent the game to overtime. Napier, I don't know what in the world he's thinking. I mean, put your quarterback back there and, do a pooch punt or something. The snapper snapped it over the guy's head about 5 times.
It's been awful. I mean, and what they did on that play, they snapped it short to the short guy. He turned around and ran 35 yards back into the end zone and then, gave him a safety.
Of course,
interesting article that came out yesterday, the highest paid coach's house in the country. Who would you think would be number one?
Alabama.
Clemson.
Alabama pays their coaches $8.85 million a year.
Their assistant coaches. Whoa. So they would have some buyouts themselves, wouldn't they?
Steve Sarkisian makes $2.5 million a year.
Oh.
Kevin Steele, Auburn's defense coordinator, makes $2.5 million a year.
Oh, me. Now, he'd have a buyout, I would think.
Not if they promote him.
Yeah, I know, exactly. Not if they promote him.
The top salaries are Alabama is 1, Ohio State 2, Clemson 3, A&M 4, Georgia 5, and Auburn 6.
Yeah. That's the people that are serious about their football, aren't they? All right, the big game this weekend is going to be at 4 o'clock on ABC this Saturday. It's Clemson and Notre Dame. Everybody thinks Clemson's going to go in there and wallop them. I tell you, this is a pretty good Notre Dame team. Who do y'all like here? Max, who do you like in that game?
Yeah, I'm leaning toward Clemson. It's hard to beat a team, Notre Dame to beat them twice. And of course, they got Trevor Lawrence back this time than they did before. But I've been fooled by Notre Dame before, Mike. So I don't know. I'm taking Clemson.
It's the best Notre Dame I've seen in a long time. What do you think, Will?
Well, the line started at 8 and now it's 10, so people are betting on Clemson.
They're taking Clemson. Of course, the game is played. Gosh, let's see where that played in Charlotte, so it's a neutral field
where the Panthers play.
Yeah. Okay, another game, Mountain West game, Boise State and San Jose State, American Championship game, Tulsa at Cincinnati. And then the SEC Championship game, ladies and gentlemen, 8 o'clock. I don't know if that's Central or Eastern time, but Eastern time, 8 o'clock Eastern time on CBS is Alabama against Florida, Mike. Who do you like there?
Over under 74.5. I mean, I can easily see a score 49 to 30, 31, somewhere around that range.
Okay, how about you, Max? What do you think about that game?
I'm taking Alabama, and I think they cover.
I agree.
Florida's defense is just very porous, and they no way they got the talent to cover Alabama's passing game.
Boy,
they try to drop 8 on them, they're going to turn it in to Najee Harris about 25 times.
I'm hearing a guy named Jalen Waddle is starting to run again too. So keep in mind Waddle's going to be back for the playoffs.
Yeah. Well, who would you want back there, Waddle or our number 6? Who do we want?
Both be in there.
Well, I mean, you want both on the field. Yeah.
No question about it. It's going to be.
You stack them on one side and cross them like they usually do.
Yeah, exactly right.
Backs ain't got a clue.
That's a nightmare. That's got to be a nightmare.
So, y'all, it just makes sense going in. I don't know how anybody could be against Clemson. Either now, if Clemson loses, they should be out of it. But if they win, I would think Notre Dame would go in as a one loss.
It ain't going to be any team with 2 losses in the playoffs.
That's right.
No.
And no, I agree.
Texas A&M is going to be the biggest Notre Dame fan Saturday you've ever seen.
But and of course Ohio State goes in, and if it works like this, if this is the case where Notre Dame goes in with 1 loss, they would be playing Alabama, I would think, and then Clemson would be playing Ohio State.
That's right.
And then the championship game would be between Ohio State and our Clemson and Alabama.
Well, they got Ohio State at 4, mainly because they're not going to play the 6 ball games.
Yeah, that's right.
Regardless of how they come out, and that probably, in my opinion, I think that might be the way they do.
And if Clemson loses, Max, they're going to jump to number 3.
Yeah.
And Clemson's probably going to come out.
No. Clemson's coming out if they lose, I believe.
If Clemson loses, they're going down, and Ohio State's going up to 3. So it's going to be Notre Dame at 2 playing Ohio
State, yeah.
At 3. And I think Ohio State would be favored by probably 10 points in that game. And then you'd have Alabama playing Texas A&M. They'd be favored by 20. So I think that's why the committee may jump somebody, maybe Oklahoma, maybe Iowa State, in there against Alabama just to prevent a rematch.
I think that might be true. I think that's a good assessment. I do.
I was just fixing that. We didn't mention Troy will be at home tonight playing Stanford in basketball. The great Bucky McMillan, the great Mount Brook coach that won 7 state championships.
It's going to be a great game.
So that should be a really good basketball game.
I've got 2 tickets on the first row. How about that?
6 p.m. tonight at Trojan Arena.
And that's going to be a great game.
And I assume they're letting people watch.
Yeah, they're letting people watch. I don't know how they'll be at arm's length at least. 6 foot at least, I would think. But I could be wrong.
Troy will play Auburn on Saturday as well at 1 p.m. on FCC Network if you want to watch Troy play Auburn.
What time would that game be, Mike? It'll be on. Troy plays Auburn this Saturday.
Yeah, this Saturday at 1 p.m. on the FCC Network.
Okay.
And by the way, Samford is a 1-point favorite over Troy tonight.
Gosh, that surprises me, Mike. Wouldn't you thought that Samford would have been a bigger?
That's a Samford team that won at Belmont. We know how good Belmont is in basketball. And then they led throughout in Athens against Georgia. The last game they played and got beat 79-75. So I would put my house on Samford tonight.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you another thing about Samford. They scored 170 points in an exhibition game not long ago. They scored 170 points in an exhibition game they played the other day. Isn't that right?
Yeah,
I saw Troy score 223 points.
No, we scored 258 one time, but again, in these days and time, for Samford to score 170 points, they do like the old UCLA teams. They pressure all over the court. So,
hey, Max, I'm hearing a lot of people talking about how the job the Mississippi State defensive coordinator has done this year. A lot of people are going to probably try to come get him. He's done a really good job defensively at Mississippi State. Of course, Leach, offensively, I guess he's got to bring his own guys in, and guys that want to buy into the system and guys that, want to play for him. But that coordinator's getting a lot of praise throughout the country.
Well, they've done very well with that, but the whole program right now is really kind of under scrutiny, Michael. Now, I just looked at the recruiting list this morning. They got 2 quarterbacks, and 3 transfers, and 4 or 5 junior college players out of a list of about 21 kids. So at least seem to be very happy with it on what they got. But I'm going to tell you, the defenses in the Southeastern Conference will catch up to that offense by the second ball game next year.
You just think this time a year ago, Malzahn was telling the whole country that Nix would win a national championship before he threw at Auburn. Yes or no? But that's what Malzahn said. Malzahn said that Nix would win a national championship before he finished at Auburn.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you guys, I don't know whether you watch his technique or not, but Bo Nix has not improved one snap. I mean, he's just exactly like he was when he came out of high school.
And everybody, even a 7th grader, would tell you that he's got way too quick feet. He doesn't stay in the pocket as long as he needs to.
Well, that's a habit, Mike, because the offensive front was so porous. I mean, he had to run sometimes.
Yeah, I know it, yeah. He's pretty good at running.
Well, they took the threat of the pass away because he threw on the run. So I'm just saying there's a lot of – those are just some samples of what's going on internally with their program, and that's why they had to make the change.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you this.
I don't know if y'all didn't mention this man, but this is a possible candidate as well. He coached at Auburn under Malzahn, and, of course, he's had a great year at Missouri. Eli Drinkwich, the Missouri coach, was a previous assistant at Auburn, so that name might come into play as well.
Well, I don't think his name. I don't think his name would be fitting at Auburn. I just don't think his name. He needs to change his name to Eli Gold.
Bill Smith.
Exactly right. But ladies and gentlemen, of course, we're having fun with this, and of course, we're opinionated. And of course, Max is one of the top analysts, I think, in the country. The more I look at this thing, I can see and hear this. We were talking about Nix, and we were talking about the Ole Miss quarterback, who some people think the second best quarterback in the SEC.
That's correct.
All right, if he took him and he could do it, he could do it. He could say, "Let's go to Auburn with me," and it'd be legal, wouldn't it?
He's got 2 years eligibility.
2 years eligibility, and he could go and be Auburn's quarterback next week.
Now, who's this now?
The quarterback at Ole Miss that everybody likes so much. You remember how well he played against Alabama?
He wouldn't have to sit out a year?
No, I don't think so.
Mackerel.
Not with this new rule. That's what the crazy thing is. The new recruiting rules, and I'll tell you right now, Ole Miss better jump all over signing these kids today. You know, they need to go ahead and sign these kids. If not, they're going to end up going to Auburn with if Kiffin goes to Auburn. I think I'm right, guys, here, and I'm lucky sometimes, probably unlucky more than I am lucky. But I got a feeling Lane Kiffin's going to be Auburn's next football coach.
Well, there's some underlying truth to that, Mike. I know for a fact he was not on campus this weekend. Now, he used to be off the campus and the kids practice on Saturday morning.
Yeah.
They've used the fact is that he was on a recruiting excursion because you can't. I think that's a dead period, so that fallacy washed away. I think he was on the interview tour this weekend.
Now, do they play this weekend?
What's a good meeting spot in Mississippi? Max lives in Mississippi. What would be a good meeting spot between Starkville and Oxford?
Probably down around Columbus somewhere. That would be, that's a big Air Force base, and you got a lot of people in and out, and a plane coming in at that airport would draw a lot of attention to you, the truth.
Will, what is your feeling?
Hey, Max, this is what hey, Lane Kiffin won't say a word to anybody. I think Jimmy Sexton's the one you need to be watching.
Right.
Oh, I agree with you.
And is Sexton Lane Kiffin's guy?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Look Sexton represents everybody.
Look out, man, look out. Whoa! Man, this thing jumps right out in front of you.
Mike, it's the people that write the checks at all.
Yeah, I know it. I know it. They named the guys that were going to pick them. One of them was Mo Jackson. The other one was Randy Campbell. A lot of them all former Auburn players.
Quentin Riggins.
Yeah.
You know what I said? You know what I said a couple days ago, Will? I said that Tommy Tuberville's going to be a U.S. Senator and Auburn's new coach. He's going to do both.
Hey, if they hired a coach by what he has done against Alabama, he'd be hands-on, wouldn't he?
Tommy Tuberville had a great record at Auburn.
Yeah.
Of course, Alabama was down during that time.
And then poor old Terry Bowden won his first 22 games. How about that now? Terry Bowden won his first 22 games. I think I'm right by saying that. And look where he ended up. Auburn's going to end up firing you wherever you are.
Terry Bowden's at Clemson right now.
Yeah. And would be a good head coach somewhere.
He's a graduate assistant.
Yep. In fact, he's going to school there. He's already a lawyer. He's going to schools in business school at Clemson, getting him another degree.
Is politics going to do this thing, or are they going to go after the best coach for the job? What's going to be the deal, Max?
I think they're going to get 2 or 3 names out there, but politics is going to play a major role. And I'm convinced because of Auburn's culture, they're going out. If whoever the top 2 or 3, either going to have to be close to the SEC or they got to have Auburn connections.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's obvious. They've done that too many times.
And I say about being pretty, believe it or not, that's part of it. It's part of being a president of the United States. You got to be sort of pretty. Well, Lane Kiffin is pretty, and he's won. He's got that way about him that he's close to the student body. Mike, didn't you say he used to go out and hang out at the bars and everything when he was at Alabama, and the students just loved him?
Yeah, because he was single and wanted to meet some co-eds.
No way now. No way. But you know what? I'd rather for him to be that way than the other way, wouldn't you?
The guy's not 45, 46 years old. Let's see what Kiffin's age is.
45.
But the students at Alabama just loved him. You knew that, didn't you?
Oh, yeah.
And he's got a flair. He's got a flair that Auburn needs right now. Lane Kiffin, your head football coach at Auburn. Hey, look here. This is Mike Amos. War Eagle. Ladies and gentlemen, Auburn is trying to find a football coach, and I think they've already found one in Lane Kiffin. That's our opinion on today in L.A. This guy sitting next to me, Will Matthews, has got his opinion. Mike Amos from Great Beach, Florida, has got his opinion. And Max Howell from Sumter,
If you knew what Jimmy Sexton was up
Mississippi,
to,
got his opinion.
yeah, I'd go along with Jimmy Sexton and see what he's up to.
That and $1 get you a good hot cup of coffee from
and
McDonald's.
hey Max, you know Jimmy's office is in Memphis. That's not far from Oxford.
I do. I know that. Yes.
The only game I've been to this year was Auburn at Ole Miss. I was in Memphis visiting my aunt.
And Auburn should have lost that one.
And Auburn was down by 1 point with under a minute to go, and they throw a pass out in the flat to that Williams kid, and 2 Ole Miss guys ran into each other and knocked each other down, and he ran untouched about 50 yards for a touchdown, and Auburn pulled it out.
How did Ole Miss do this year, Max?
They're 4-4.
All right, now who they play this weekend?
They got LSU this weekend.
Now, I think they'll beat LSU.
But I tell you what, that LSU's playing with some confidence right now.
LSU's only got 40 players. They're going to beat LSU, I'm telling you.
Well,
listen to the judge.
Yeah, exactly. You're exactly right.
I don't know what the line is. Where are they playing, Michael?
Baton Rouge.
They're going to beat LSU.
If Lane Kiffin can take his team in and beat LSU,
and they're getting points, I'm sure.
I think that would put the icing on the cake.
I'm sure they're getting points, and they will win the game outright.
Now let me ask you your gut feeling, Max. Your gut feeling, is it Lane Kiffin or who would be your gut feeling?
I think he's at the top, Mike. I really do. I think there's some reservations not about him, but about his track record.
Yeah.
Moving around, and I think that's being played on both sides. Jimmy's in one section, the one that's got, he's got to quell that.
Yeah.
Himself, that's the part that section plays in that thing, in addition to getting his money.
That's right. Well, I tell you what, it's going to be something, but I think we've moved pretty good on this thing, and I hope that Auburn can find somebody. But don't you agree that Auburn can't afford to have a bunch of signees? I mean, Ole Miss needs to go ahead and sign as many players as they can because they could all be turned around and going to Auburn. Is that right?
I think that's probably one thing but don't we all agree, though, that Kevin Steele probably is not the guy?
I don't think he's the guy. I don't think he's the guy.
I guess if you're paying off Malzahn $21 million though, and Steele's already making 2.5, you could just say, hey, we'll give you another $1 million, pay you 3.5 to be the head coach, and try to figure it out 3 or 4
well,
more years.
Let me ask y'all a personal question. What is Lane Kiffin's buyout, or does he have one?
It's not much. I think it's around 6 or 8 or something like that.
Will, did you know that Nick Saban doesn't even have a buyout clause?
He's the only coach in football that doesn't.
And he's not making the kind of money that some of these guys are making now, though.
We got breaking news. Former All-SEC center at the University of Alabama's son, Evan Schultz, won the state championship at St. Paul's. Center has just committed to Troy. 6'4", 290 pounds. Evan Schultz is now a Troy Trojan.
Oh, boy, already. So we got Roger Schultz, boy, and I'll take Robbie. Wouldn't you, Will? I'd take Roger Schultz, boy. He was a heck of a player at Alabama, wasn't he?
For Troy, sight unseen.
That's right. And, of course, they've been recruiting him for a pretty long time. And, of course, that kid grew up here in Troy. And Roger Schultz, a great supporter of Troy.
He worked for Johnny Williams in the athletic department.
That's right.
Both came on at the same time.
Exactly right. And, boy, this is an exciting time.
Max, knowing Auburn is Auburn, you got to realize Auburn's Auburn. They're not going to make a splash hire. I think they're going to hire, the more I think about it, they can hire Kevin Steele. They can bring in Muschamp cheap because South Carolina's paid him $11 million. And they get Art Briles as offensive coordinator. And that would probably sell to the Auburn people.
That's pretty smart. You're exactly right. That's something to look at. And of course
they'd have 3 good coaches, but the thing is, Lane Kiffin. If they hired Lane Kiffin, the publicity Auburn would get would be just phenomenal.
Yeah. You mean positive?
Yeah. We didn't mention this. This is interesting. The Georgia Vanderbilt game got canceled, so Georgia's athletic department
Troy would have played them.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, Troy would have been out of their mind. That would have been just a $1 million payday probably at the last minute to play one more game.
Yeah.
I'd be cranking up the bus and headed over there.
Yeah.
But I guess the SEC didn't allow it, so it's just kind of crazy.
Yeah, the SEC is conference games only this year.
Yeah, that's right.
It seemed like last minute, though, it seemed like they would have not really cared because Georgia is not playing in the SEC championship, and all they're doing is getting ready for a bowl game. It seemed like they'd let them play that game.
Max, what's for dinner, Max? So everybody's been waiting long. All these women have said, y'all stop talking about football, and we want to know what Max has got for dinner this week.
We're going to put the big old shrimp on the grill this Saturday night.
Now, do y'all have that shrimp? Flown in or what?
Oh yeah. We don't use a Tennessee variety. That's bait shrimp that moves around out there. Now I'll do some of the boil. I'll put some on the skewer and put it on the grill. We use like 12 to 18 pounds. Big ones.
That's a big one right there, yeah.
Guys, that's that. With the coleslaw,
now y'all got a campsite. I hear it's quite something right there on the river, and a lot of these guys are deer hunting right now, aren't they?
Mike, the campsite costs us about $500 million. The back porch, you drive up, you bring your boat up to the back porch.
Yeah.
Which you do. So it's at the wide side of the river. Across the river where we are is about a quarter of a mile.
Yeah.
In width there. It's a big barge transportation area. So it's quite a scene.
I know this. You love that part of the country. You call it home now, don't you?
Listen, I've told my kids, when I leave here, I'll be in the back of a hearse. I'm not going to be moving. I promise you that.
Well, we appreciate you calling in every Wednesday, and of course, my apology for some of the technical problems. I think it was probably me, but we have gotten a good show in today, and we'll probably run it some next week because this Auburn situation is very, very important, not only to Auburn University, but the whole state of Alabama. And also, we've got a good insight on who we think will be in the playoffs. Max, what do you think?
I think Auburn will make a decision between now and then, Mike. I really do.
And it would.
It'd be great on that kicker, during the SEC championship game, the whole time throughout that game to have the new Auburn coach. That's a great point.
Lane Kiffin, the new Auburn coach. Max, it doesn't hurt if you're pretty. It doesn't. For some reason, it doesn't hurt if you're pretty. And old Lane's a handsome dude.
Well, he's got a lot going for him, Mike. I tell you, he really does.
Do you like him? Do coaches like him?
I'll say one thing. He scored 48 points on Alabama.
He sure did. That's something right.
There ain't many coaches ever done that.
Yeah, I know it.
His dad's going to be the defense coordinator again. His dad's about 89 years old.
Monty Kiffin was one of the great.
His dad's at Ole Miss now.
Yeah, he's an analyst, I'm sure.
He's a consultant.
Yeah. Hey, before we go off the air, how about this Alabama consultant looks like he's got a job or did get a job? Is that right, Mike?
Butch Davis?
Butch Jones. Arkansas State. He's the guy that won at Cincinnati, Central Michigan, won 9 games twice in Tennessee. He's not the worst.
He's not a bad football coach. What do you think, Max, about Butch Jones?
I went to a couple of his practices. He actually did match. I'm not a big Butch Jones fan at all. I'll be honest with you. If you watch what he was doing, and Coach Saban must have got along with it really well. We had him on the sideline every game. The camera stayed on him. Every time Najee Harris runs off the field, as Butch wait to shake his hand. Yeah. So he got a lot of publicity, and he was successful at that level. More so than short term in Tennessee. So he didn't recruit very well, but I'll be in to see how he does.
Well, how about who shot Liberty Valiant? Is he going to get a big time job, or is he going to just stay at Liberty?
I think he probably needs to stay at Liberty.
All right. Okay.
At Liberty he makes $3 million a year.
They pay pay him $3 million. Jerry Falwell gave him $3 million before he died. Is that right?
Well, the son.
Oh, the son runs it now, doesn't he? Yeah.
That's right.
The son has the problem.
And they're great Baptists.
Him and the pool boy, or whatever, what's going on.
That's a good place for you. I mean, they all got along well up there.
No question about it. Hope you've enjoyed it, Will. We enjoyed you being with us this
Yes, sir.
morning.
Yes,
Any
sir.
last minute comments, Will?
Y'all have a Merry Christmas.
Our ratings went up big time with Will on the show.
Here comes the judge. Hey, listen, he fits to go over there and create havoc over the courtroom right here in
Yeah, I
Florida.
got to get going. I got to be over there by 9.
Well, so that means you're not going to go eat breakfast with us.
No breakfast this morning.
Okay, no breakfast for
I'll
the
do
judge.
lunch though.
But we, all right,
I'll buy you
buying
lunch
he'll
later
be
if I
buying
get out
lunch
of
later on at Sisters.
Sisters.
Yeah.
I love sisters.
Have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Whaley Pecan Company's show tomorrow. Everybody usually likes that. Merry Christmas. We'll see you tomorrow.
Merry Christmas from Stephen Sanders Trucking. Merry Christmas from Wiley Sanders Truck Line. Are you ready for these
Yes,
toys?
sir. Bring